Hey guys, thanks for joining me once again for our Bible study. We're continuing this Harmony of the Gospel series. We're in Matthew chapter 6, verses 1 through 4 today. And again, I pray that you get a blessing out of these lessons. And today's lesson covers or continues to cover what's most often referred to as the Sermon on the Mount. And we'll cover the idea of giving, or better yet, the attitude behind our giving. It will be a little shorter lesson today because we're only going to cover these four verses I said, yet I believe it's one lesson that we definitely need to hear and need to get right in our life. Oh, and Happy New Year. May we get this right in the new year. Matthew chapter 6, verses 1 through 4 says, "Be careful not to do your acts of righteousness before men to be seen by them. If you do, you will have no reward from your Father in heaven. So when you give to the needy, do not announce it with trumpets, as the hypocrites do in the synagogues and on the streets, to be honored by men. I tell you the truth, they have received their reward in full. But when you give to the needy, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing, so that your giving may be in secret. Then your Father, who sees what is done in secret, will reward you." Now, the so-called acts of righteousness in verse 1 certainly pertains to keeping the law, at least in the mind of the pious religious leaders. This was supposedly the indicator of how righteous a person was, but what Jesus says here expands on the theme of greater righteousness that began way back in Matthew 5:20, that said, "For I tell you that unless your righteousness surpasses that of the Pharisees and the teachers of the law, you will certainly not enter the kingdom of heaven." These acts of righteousness were supposed to be the pious acts that were motivated by love and devotion to God. Jesus has no quarrel with the traditional forms of religious piety here, but calls his followers to be God centered not only in their acts of righteousness, but also their hearts. It begins in the heart. If it is all a performance, then your rewards are paid in full here on earth when others see you and you get recognition from them. If you do it for the right reasons, then your rewards will await in heaven, the real rewards. Now, which are more important to you, the temporal or the eternal? So you can answer that. The term hypocrites, as used in verse 2 of this passage, describes someone who is play acting. It's more of theater. Such hypocrites are those who do good for appearances only. They lack compassion. They lack kindness. They lack the love that God calls us to. They do it to be seen and noticed by others so as to portray themselves as being compassionate, kind, and loving. The action may be a good one, but the motive behind the action, not so much. Their acts of righteousness then are a facade, all fake. I read that during this time and before, the term righteousness was almost synonymous with the giving of alms, which Jesus was talking about here. So we can see why Jesus spends so much time on the idea of giving in the right manner and with the right heart. You're not righteous simply because you're doing it, because you're giving. That sort of thinking gets the cart before the horse. Jesus says that because of your heart for God and love of Him and His work, you give. If your heart's not right with God, then it's all for nothing if you do it. Such acts are empty because they're done in order to receive recognition or reward in this life. Uh, Temporary stuff here. God will not reward such acts in eternity. He rewards only those who do so out of a sincere faith in Him. He knows the heart of every person, and He will reward those whose heart uh, really gave before the action came about. In verse 3, Jesus says that he would not let, that we should not let our left hand know what our right hand is doing. This is, of course, impossible, but he's using this extreme to make his point. He is teaching that our motives mean everything. My NIV commentary says the figurative expression of not letting your left hand know what your right hand is doing graphically illustrates the unpretentious and unassuming manner of true piety. We've already talked about hypocrisy. We've already talked about false piety. Here we're talking about true piety. It goes on to say, charitable acts are so fundamentally inherent to the character of those in the kingdom that they are performed even without self-conscious recognition or appraisal. It's just second nature to those who really love God and love their fellow man. Our giving should be so then out of pure motives, not putrefied by hypocrisy. It is easy to give with mixed motives for sure, thinking we might receive something in return or might possibly, but believers should do their best to avoid these mixed motives. God knows whether our heart is in it or not. Religious devotion begins with the heart and the inner motivations behind our external acts. I mean, it's easier to convince ourselves to give if we get something out of it, right? But this shouldn't be the way we do it. This shouldn't be our thinking or our motivation. This is selfish. Jesus is challenging then to give unselfishly. It reminds me of Paul's directions to the Corinthian church about giving, and he was kind of reminding them of an offering that they had promised to take up, or they were going to take up, and he wanted them to do so not out of compulsion, but still have it ready. But 2 Corinthians chapter 9, starting verse 5, it says, "So I thought it necessary to urge the brothers to visit you in advance and finish the arrangements for the generous gift you had promised. Then it will be ready as a generous gift, not as one grudgingly given. Remember this, whoever sows sparingly will also reap sparingly, and whoever sows generously will also reap generously. Each man should give what he has decided in his heart to give, not reluctantly or under compulsion, for God loves a cheerful giver." The Greek word translated as cheerful there is hilaros, which we get our word hilarious. It gives us the idea of merry, cheerful, willing, and we could look at it as a cheerful willingness to give. We should not give with a yearning to receive some sort of reward here and now, and we should not give like it's almost an unpleasant task or repulsive to us that we do so grudgingly. The rewards for cheerful giving or giving without any thought of reward are out of this world literally. The reward God promises is not material, and it's never given to those who are seeking it. It is instead given to those who make it their second nature and keep it to themselves. We should always check our motives, whatever we're doing. The attitude in which we give is more important than the amount we give. We don't have to be embarrassed if all we have is just a little to give. God can do great things with even the smallest of gifts. He can multiply it beyond our comprehension. God is concerned with the heart in which we give it. And let's be honest, He knows how much we're capable of giving, more than we do. And He also knows our heart. So if our heart is in the right place, we will give what is right, and not just what's left. Whether we're giving of our time, our energy, our resources, we must keep the right kind of attitude and we must, quite frankly, keep our ego in check. Compassion, kindness, humility, love, they're always pleasing in the eyes of the Lord. So, as we work for the cause of Christ, may we do so with these motives. If we ever find ourselves wanting the spotlight for ourselves for doing something, let's quickly step aside and change our attitude and let go of the ego. Get your heart right with the Lord, and all the rest of your life is going to follow, including service and giving. So I pray that this lesson has been a reminder and probably a pretty good New Year's resolution for all of us. But I pray it's also been a blessing to you. May God bless you and keep you and give you peace till we can meet here again and study the Word of God.